Today, I'm going to show you guys how to bring a little bit of your outside plants inside, make them have a little cute decor to hang them up in your house, and hopefully help with a little bit of that seasonal depression that hits this winter. Let's jump right in. So probably like quite a few of you guys, the summer gardens are winding down. Where we are in zone 6, kind of in central Missouri, we do get quite a bit of snow and it gets very cold here in kind of like the late December, early January. So we are going to extend our garden outside as long as we can. We've also started some fall seeds. So we have some beets and carrots down. I did some herbs, and then we'll probably do some leafy greens for the next couple of months. But as that starts to wind down, I think a lot of us who spend so much time outside actually deal harder with SAD, which is the seasonal effectiveness disorder, I think is what it's called. I'll put that up here with a little definition for you guys. But basically that is where your body just starts to adjust from having all that beautiful sunshine chemicals of happiness rushing through your body to way less over the winter. There's less sun, less outside time. And so your body naturally slows down that production, and it can affect people differently. For Andrew and I both, I think it affects us a little bit hard just because on top of the seasons changing, we also spend just such an exponential amount of time outside. So if you're like us and you find that you spend more time outside than the average person, sometimes those long winter months can feel even longer and darker because, you don't have as much of that liveliness and the greenery around you. And so what we started to do is add houseplants into the house. So that way over winter, we can still have some, stuff to look at, some growth. And this year we are actually going to try to transplant a few pots in the house. So we're going to try and bring in some herbs and some peppers and some things and try to really nurture them over the winter under some, artificial light and some artificial heat if we need to. But one of the things we try to do in the house is add those house plants. And so I want to show you guys today with literally just some basic twine, how we can make that beautiful planter. It does not matter if you are not like artistically inclined. I am not at all. And I just started doing this a while ago. And I think it's just like a nice way to keep the plants up, and in the house. Also, if you have cats, we have 3. There's Becky right there. But we have 3 cats and they are curious, of course. And so I love to get the plants up in the ceiling and have them hang down because then they stay safe and they're not getting munched on by the babies. So what you need to do is you just need to grab a pair of scissors and don't fling them around like that. Safety. So like Michael Scott, has anybody ever seen that episode of The Office where he Aaron throws in the scissors and he's like, scissor me, and then catches them in his fingers. Anyways, so you need a pair of scissors and then you just need some sort of twine. It's funny. I got this jute twine. It's 190 feet of jute twine. I thought it was the big one. I ordered it online and I thought it was going to be like this big thing. And it is not. It is small. It says 7 pounds of working load limit. I don't know if somebody... please comment and tell me what that means. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what that means. I'm sure it's telling you how much weight it can hold. But we're going to be double stringing it and the pot is light, so it'll be fine. If you're going to do bigger pots, you might want to get a little bit of a bigger jute. But also my thought is I don't want something super heavy hanging from my ceiling. So for me personally, if this wire wouldn't work, it's not going to be what I'm looking to do anyways. So this is fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our twine and some scissors, and I'm going to switch the camera and I'm going to just kind of do it on the floor so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then I will walk you through each step. It is super easy, I promise. And we're going to hang some plants. So I got my twine, and what I'm going to do for me, you can make it as long as you want. I'm measuring mine to about the center of my chest from holding it out for my arm. I don't know if you guys can see that. I think you can. That's how long it's going to be from the ceiling basically to the very bottom of the plant. So I did a couple feet, probably 2.5 feet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fold this in half. I just grabbed it from that end, so I want it to be twice as long. Basically, so I have 2 strings that are looped together right there. I'm going to cut this off. All right, so I have my double fold little guy right here, okay? Now I'm going to do that 2 more times. Same length, doubled. So I'm just going to take the string, I'm going to lump it into the end here, bring it down to my end of my loop, turn it, bring it down, and cut that off. That is number 2. And then I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to grab the string, bring it up here, take it down to the end of the loop, loop it around, and then bring it down and get scissors that cut and cut. So I now have 3 loops of string here. I'll show you guys. I've got 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so 3 double length twine. You are done with your twine, so you can go ahead and set it aside. If you're going to do multiples of these, obviously you can. I just do one at a time. So my plan now is just to make sure that these are all lined up. I want to make sure that I have them all about aligned at the bottom here. And then I have this loop at the top. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to make a knot here, so that way this little loop will be what I put my hook on from the ceiling. I have little metal hooks that I just twist into the ceiling, and that will just hook right onto here. You only need this to be as big as the hook that you're going to put on there. It does not need to be very big. So I'm going to go ahead and tie that knot. And what I do is I just literally loop it around itself and just stick the 6 little strings in here. I guess it's 3 strings folded over, 3 times or whatever. But and then I just create a knot, and to not waste extra string, I push it towards the top. So you guys can kind of see there, it's just a little loop. Okay. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is we're going to go down to create the base where the plant will sit in the bottom of this, because the plant sits at the bottom here. So what you're going to do is you are going to take the strings and you want to go down towards probably about, I would say, a little more than halfway. It doesn't need to be, you don't want to go too low because we're going to be doing a few knots. So let's go about halfway, and you're going to take 2 strings. It absolutely does not matter what 2 strings. You're just going to grab 2 strings. And what we're going to do is we're going to just make a little knot right here. I'm just going to loop this over, and I'm going to knot that string right there. Little knot, doesn't matter. Whoop, knot. So now I have the knot at the top, and I have 2 strings knotted together off to the side here. The knot is small, it's hard to see. There's a little knot there. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the other 4 strings. I'm going to grab 2, and I'm going to knot them, and then the final 2 and knot them. And I'm going to have all those knots be around the same height. They don't have to be exact. Let's be real. I'm not doing anything exact here. But I'm going to go ahead and put these other knots on these other 2 clusters of strings around that same spot that the other one is in. Okay, there's 1, 2, and now my last one. So you can see that I now have, maybe you can see now I have 3 clusters of strings, 2 strings each, and they are knotted and just kind of hanging. So like that, okay? So now that you have your top knot and then you have the 3 individual knots here, now what we're going to do is we're going to connect these strings here by splitting your knot strings. So there's 2 strings here, and we'll just take this one next to it, and there are 2 strings here. And it's easier if you lay this down, and at the end of the video I will show you guys an aerial view of what it looks like laying down so it's a little bit easier. But basically we're going to take 2 clusters of the strings, and then we're going to take 2 of the individual strings from each knot. You guys see what I'm doing here? And then what we're going to do is you're going to take these 2 strings, and same thing, about halfway, maybe a little less than halfway, I'm going to tie them together. So I'm taking these 2 strings and I am going to tie them together like so. Okay, let me pull these up. So now you have the 2 clusters that have 1 string each tied to each other. I'm going to move it to the side, and I have the 1 remainder string on this left side. What I'm going to do with this left one is I'm actually going to take the 3rd cluster over here of 2 strings that hasn't been touched, and I'm going to take 1 string off of that. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tie a little knot here. Same thing, they don't have to be super even, because the bottom knot that we put at the end is the knot that kind of holds everything together. So they don't have to be super exact. We just want them to be knotted, okay? Here, right? And so we just have the two hanging strings on the side here. We have this string and this string. We need to connect those as well. So now I'm going to take the two final strings. I'm going to knot them together. We have our 3 knots here that we created. So we have the main knot at the top. We have the 3 knots that we put to create the second strings, and then we have the 3 knots to connect the base strings. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the strings at the end here, and I am going to go towards the bottom and knot these all together. So you just want like one final knot basically at the bottom that pulls all the strings together, and that knot is what's going to sit at the bottom of your pot. So this knot will be a very important knot. It is the one that kind of holds the base of your plant together. Okay. So now I have this string that has a bunch of knots in it, and then this little knot at the bottom. And basically what we need to do, you can do it however you want. Some people like hang it to put the pot in, which is probably what I'm going to do here in a second. But the pot is going to go like down in here, and that's where we need to sit the pot. So I'm going to hang this up really quick and then show you guys how we actually put the pot inside now that it's done. I have this hook that I found in the garage, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like hook it here for a second so I have some traction to be able to like put some weight on this. So this pot is just like a 5-inch pot. You'll play around with it. If you're going to do some bigger pots, you're going to want to do some different and bigger holes and like bigger knots and longer strings. But I can also talk you guys through it. So if you have any questions, just comment below or shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I'm happy to help. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally, you can see my hands at the bottom here, and I am just opening the plant up a little bit around the jute wire. I want to make sure I don't crush this plant because it's pretty established. And then what I do is I just let the weight of the plant start to find its home in the jute wrap. Okay, so I just sat it in there. I'm going to show you guys like that. So see how that actually comes together? Really nice. And then that little wire is just on the bottom, and that will hang. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It sits on the bottom here. You can see that final knot we made. You can do completely different heights. You can do more knots, whatever you want. This is just like a super simple one. But yeah, I love it. And it is very easy for me to do. So I just hung that one up there so you guys can kind of see what it looks like. And then that is the one that we just did. So I have them on both sides of the window. I know everybody's different, and you know, some people deal with the winter season differently than others. At some people it doesn't affect them at all. I'm one of those people. I absolutely love winter. I love that it gets cold and the seasons change. I love the snow, but the short days definitely does take its toll. And so it's small, but having the plants in the house really is something that just makes me happy. It makes Andrew happy, and you know, it feels good. So it's just a simple way to add them into the house without a lot of effort, and then it keeps them up off the ground for any of your animals, or if you have kids, you know, that are touching everything. So it helps a lot being able to have them strung up like that. And for anyone who wants just the quick tutorial, I am going to post that at the end here, so you can watch me quickly make one on the ground, and you can see it's much easier if you're doing it laying down. But I'll show you guys what that looks like in just a second. I wanted to thank you guys for hanging out with me. You know, Andrew and I are sharing a lot between Instagram and YouTube, and we really want to make sure that we continue to post over the winter time and show you guys that there is so much that you can be doing even in those winter months. We are going to try for the first time growing some stuff inside this year, down in the basement, which is really exciting. We did get a grow tent, and so I'll share all that stuff with you guys later. But we have seeds started, and the tomatoes are still producing, peppers are still producing. I am not trying to rush winter in getting here. I know a lot of people have had a really hard season and are ready for, you know, the change, but I am okay with it slowing down a little bit, and, you know, just trying to embrace the season change and enjoy fall before we get too excited for winter. I hope you guys are doing wonderful. Please update me and let me know how your gardens are doing. Feel free to hit subscribe if you're not already. We love to meet all of our new subscribers. Feel free to follow us on Instagram as well and send me a DM introducing yourself. Like I said, I love to chat with you guys. It is my favorite thing about being online. And until next time, you guys, don't forget our motto here at Little V Farm: anything grows if you try. And here's your quick tutorial on how to make the jute wire holder for your inside plants. Bye guys.